Welcome to Illuminating Catholics, podcast of the Diocese of Sioux City. I'm Dawn Prosser, Director of Communications for the Diocese. Together with Carmen Bauer of the Faith Formation Office, we will shed light upon topics of faith in the modern church. Our guests include Catholic clergy, religious sisters, and other experts in their fields to help us understand what's happening in the church today. We will explore issues, even the tough ones, and to find answers to common questions about Catholicism. Thank you for joining us for today's Illuminating Catholics, shedding light to understand the modern church.
Welcome back to the Illuminating Catholics podcast of the Diocese of Sioux City. I am Carmen Bauer. I am the Director of Faith Formation for the Diocese.
And I'm Dawn Prosser. I'm Director of Communications for the Diocese.
Thank you for being one of our listeners. Be sure to take us with you if you're traveling this summer to listen to new episodes or catch up on any that you've missed. Today, I'm very excited as we welcome one of our own this morning, Danielle Fennessy of the Diocesan Faith Formation Office, to share with us about an exciting trip just for middle school students that is called the Miracle Church Bus Trip. And this is happening this June. So welcome, Danielle.
Thanks for coming across the parking lot to join us. So it's kind of exciting. We actually are all here in person. Carmen and I haven't been able to make connections, so we are all here in one spot, in case anybody was wondering. So if someone isn't familiar with Danielle and a little bit about your background, I wonder if you would just share a little bit about yourself with us, please.
Yes, so I am Danielle. I work in the Diocesan Office of Faith Formation. I am originally from Norfolk, Nebraska, a Nebraska girl at heart, but have been here in Sioux City, Iowa for the last several years since I graduated college at Benedictine. I started working at the Diocese about 3 years ago, started in the Catholic Schools office, and then I walked the Camino de Santiago. And when I came back, Carmen asked me to join her team in the Faith Formation Office, and I've been with her almost 2 years now. Yeah.
And the rest is history,
yes.
so they say. Now, do you have a particular area that you cover in the diocese, territory-wise?
Yes. So I cover about the southern region of the diocese, everything pretty much like south of Highway 20, so Highway 20 and down. And it is a great region. I love working with so many incredible individuals in all of the parishes. They're just so filled with the Holy Spirit, and they're just on fire to share the message of Jesus with their community. So it's been great.
I'm sure they're glad to have you as well. So now that you've been doing this for a couple of years, what do you like best about your position?
Oh, goodness. I would have to say all of just like the people I get to meet, it's an honor to get to share my faith with so many individuals and to problem solve together on how to evangelize to our communities and the catechesis that goes with it. The days never look the same, which I also love. So we work with marriage preparations, and then that leads to other sacramental preparations, and then just working with kids in general and catechesis of the Good Shepherd into youth ministry, which is where Miracle Church Bus came to fruition.
Great. Thank you for sharing.
So with the Miracle Church Bus, people might hear that and they might think, what in the world are they doing up there in the Diocesan Office of Faith Formation? So can you walk us through a little bit of the history of how that came to be?
Yes, so Miracle Church Bus was, as all great things come about, was a random conversation where someone was like, I just really wish we could just put middle schoolers on a bus together from different regions of the diocese. And I was like, well, why can't we do that? That sounds like a brilliant idea. And someone said that, and then someone drew a picture of a bus and said, it's just like Magic Church Bus, but with miracles, with Jesus. And it was like, oh my gosh, Miracle Church Bus, here it is. And now, we have worked with a lot of the DREs in the southern area, and we're going to go around to the different churches in Carroll. And we hope that this could someday be replicated around the different dioceses of all the different churches that are, 10, 15 minutes, miles apart from one another in different areas.
Yeah, there are so many different angles to this event. And one of those is that, we still have these churches that are being taken care of by local communities. And what a way to highlight that tradition that continues in those faith communities, even though now the structure of our parishes look a little different.
Yes, they do.
Yes. So it's for middle schoolers. So when, I picture myself on a bus and being full of middle schoolers, that would just be a blast. I do love myself a time with some of those 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. So why did you guys your group of planners choose this age range?
One of the reasons is because I'm a middle schooler at heart. Yes, just have the joy and chaotic energy of one. But the other main reason is those younger kids are just really receptive to trying something new, and this is something that we haven't necessarily seen before happening. And we hope to then grow those connections throughout the next upcoming years as we're building a lot of youth ministry around the diocese. We had this will be our 4th regional event happening when it comes to youth ministry, and we want them to be able to know people in their communities, to be able to travel in the upcoming years when they're in high school and see people at Steubenville or go on Ave and Quest and all of those different opportunities for them.
And I know just observing some of the conversations that have happened at the planning meetings, as I'm able to pop in every now and then, there's this idea that if you've worked in youth ministry, you know how valuable that travel time is. That's when the inside jokes begin. That's when, kids start to let their guard down a little bit. And I just think that that's a great environment, just to create and take advantage of for this.
Have a lot of joy and friendships. They just grow deep on car rides. Yeah.
Yes. And then so it started out as this idea of putting kids on a bus to form relationships, have some fun. But there is this concept of a pilgrimage that goes along with that. Oftentimes we think of pilgrimages as what you did with the Camino, going across the ocean. How do we do that locally?
I mean, we as Catholics we are pilgrims on a journey, and a pilgrimage is not necessarily about the sense of a destination, but as much about the journey and who you meet on the way, and being in the presence of those around you, and then noticing where Christ is working in those moments. And we've always been saying, and one of the taglines is, it's not just about the churches, it's also about the bus. And so having those kids be on a pilgrimage and being in the presence of one another, and just knowing that it's about the journey, because ultimately they're going to go to all these different church sites, but they're going to end up right where they began, to go home.
Well, that's beautiful. And so we've talked a little bit about the bus. In fact, Danny and I recently had a very important meeting where we were researching silly songs and chants for the kids to do. So very high-level stuff up in our offices. But tell us more about what will be happening on the ground at the churches.
Yeah, so we will be going to 4 different church sites around Carroll County in both of the parishes. So we are going to Sacred Heart Temple in Templeton. We're going to St. Mary's in Willey, Our Lady of Mount Carmel in Mount Carmel, and then Good Shepherd, which is St. Bernard's Church in Breda. And at all of those different sites, it's one cohesive thought process that's happening at each location, where we're going to go through the different senses. So at one of the churches, we'll go through the sense of touch and all those different gestures and how our body movement ends up in the Mass and how that glorifies God. Sense of sight, so why do we have all the stained glass images? Why do we have the Stations of the Cross? What are we seeing throughout the Mass and just in the church building itself? And then we have the sense of sound. So someone is coming out to play the organ for us, and the kids are going to hear the bells ring in the church, and we'll get to pull the old-fashioned cord and rope down to be able to do that. And how then that church building also then plays into all of these small town communities. And then at the end, we'll just have a recap, and it's how do we know with all of our senses, we have the presence of God with us to end the day.
Well, that's such a beautiful concept to reflect upon. Now, you've kind of mentioned your planning committee. Who are some people around the diocese who have stepped up to offer to help?
We have people from all over, and that's just been one of the most gratifying things. So Brenda Klein and Jane Heifoff from the Carroll St. John Paul II Parish is helping out in Willey to lead that presentation. Deacon Don Evans is coming in from Humboldt to lead a presentation for us. He's so excited, and he just has a great energy when it comes to kid. And another person I'm so excited about is Joey Heffling from St. Teresa of Lisieux Parish in Ida Grove. He leads the youth group there, and he's just was on fire and was an immediate yes. He was so excited to serve in this role.
Yeah, he's quite impactful. We hear his name often. It seems to have quite a positive and faithful influence on.
We also have a couple of seminarians who are going to be joining us for the day, so that will be exciting as well.
So they're so good about doing that when they come back for the summer.
Yeah, we love having them.
Yes. So When is the trip going to happen? What's the date?
It takes place on June 12th. It is a Thursday. It's going to be about noon. We say the bus leaves at 12:30, so you better be on it at that point until about 7:30. So they'll have about an hour and at each of the different sites, and then we'll have a big dinner at the end of it and a couple more times so they can meet everybody and just hang out.
What are the two sites where the buses are going to load up and leave from?
Yeah, we have a pickup spot in Willey and then a pickup spot in Breda because they're on the opposite corners of the county, so can shorten some people's travel time coming in.
That will be great. We had done a story earlier on about the trip before doing this podcast, so I had the honor of interviewing Danielle then as well. And as a result of that story, we were contacted, both of us, by Marilyn Shirk Setzler. She wrote Cathedrals Among the Cornfields. So she graciously has sent copies to the diocese. So we were just talking about that a little bit before the podcast, about some of the highlights from the book. So
Yeah.
I should almost do it as a quiz, see if anybody can answer the question.
It was very helpful for me in the planning, that's for sure. I had received a copy from our archives office, and it was very helpful to have.
It's wonderful
It's a great
because
book.
there's pictures.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not going to have time to read the whole thing, we like picture books. No, seriously, there's a lot of great information there and resources. So I remember you had talked about Mount Carmel, but I couldn't remember exactly. And that is the spot where they have the stone chapel on the grounds. And there's a picture of it in the book. Just a little shout out to Marilyn there. So I think that was one of the sites that you wanted the kids to see. So I thought that was very exciting. And then I actually knew the story, St. Bernard and the statue. Do you guys know the story?
Quiz? I don't know of the statue, no.
There's a huge statue. I think they said it's like half a ton, 10 feet. It was originally in front of the St. Bernard's Seminary in Dubuque. And then at some point, the Sisters of the Presentation, whom we had on the show for their 150th, they moved into that seminary grounds. And I vaguely remember the sisters saying that this was the seminary. Well, in 1997, I don't know this, I had to look it up, they gifted it back to Breda, St. Bernard. So that's in front of the church there. So it's traveled from Dubuque. So that was interesting.
It's a cool statue.
Yeah. Templeton Sacred Heart, 4 important statues.
The Sacred Heart, right?
Sacred Heart's the parish.
St. Michael. That was a beautiful one.
That is a big marble St. Michael.
It was very beautiful.
And
I could guess Mary.
Wow,
There's our Blessed Mother, one of the important statues.
Yes, there is a statue of Mary there, but they also have called them impressive statues throughout, including the 4 evangelists.
Oh, the 4 evangelists. Did we catch those?
I don't.
There was a lot to see.
There's so much.
Yeah, each church is like
Templeton
packed with information.
Templeton is where we're doing the sense of sight because you cannot, everywhere is just beautiful statues, beautiful stained glass. Their Stations of the Cross are just incredible. Yeah.
That should be a fun visit.
We'll have to point that out, those statues.
And the last one, Willey St. Mary, and that's St. John Paul II Parish, as you mentioned. What famous person was originally from Willey and a member of St. Mary?
Can I get a hint?
Bishop Gredeman?
Yes, Carmen. Yay. Okay, we might be cheating a little bit here. Anyway, it's the Gredeman family had the Gredeman store in Willey.
Oh, no way.
And I think the father's name was Ben, and had like 14 children. Bishop Gredeman was one of them. And they raised their family on the 2nd floor of the store.
Oh, how sweet. Of
Yeah.
Oh,
I had no
connection.
idea.
Obviously, we need to spend more time in Carroll County. I feel so poorly educated.
And everybody in Carroll County listening is probably going, yeah, we know all this stuff.
Yeah.
But hey, those of us who don't live in Carroll County, it's fascinating.
You guys have beautiful churches.
Yes, these beautiful Gothic churches and the artwork and the history behind, how all this stuff got there. So that was a little homework I promised to do before the podcast. But question for you, Danielle. So what other highlights, other than the sights, the sounds, and so forth, what other highlights can the participants look forward to?
Yeah, I would say it will be a time to disconnect from your phone and encounter beauty. It'll be a time of we keep using the word silly, and that in itself is just like kind of vulnerable to just allow yourself to be silly and to have fun. So we're hoping just kids will come and have fun and, encounter beauty. There's this quote that I've been using from G.K. Chesterton, and it's "Let good things run wild." And we just want kids to be able to have a safe place to run wild.
So can I ask you about the sunglasses?
Yes, we love sending kids home with something. All of our meetings and conferences and events end with we want to give you something to walk away with. And this time we have sunglasses. We have different colors depending on which bus people sign up for, and they will be. I'm pretty excited for those for sure.
I thought it was kind of exciting as well. Not in middle school.
I hope there's some extras.
So you talked about we've got the Willey and the Breda pickup points, and that's where they end up as well. But as I understand, these two groups might actually meet up, and where and how's that going to work?
Yeah, so because we have the two different pickup locations and they'll be going around to the different churches, we wanted a way for those kids to still be able to interact with one another. And at the end of the day, they're all going to come together at Mount Carmel and have dinner, and then the last time to spend and play games together. But at the beginning of the day, there is one small town that is halfway between Breda and Willey, and we are going to manufacture a stop in between those two so that way they can interact with one another on the buses and wave as the other one goes by.
What town is that?
Maple River.
Oh, okay.
We might have a little competition with a certain song or chant as well.
Yes.
So that'll be a fun time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I remember you had mentioned also that it's as they meet, and this is the story we'd written earlier, that this is just kind of a starting point for these kids that want to get more involved in their faith, and as they grow and might go to different diocesan or larger than that conferences, they might get to know one another. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
This last year this will be our 4th regional event put on for youth, and those are still continuing, and they're going to continue because we have amazing parish leaders who are willing to provide these opportunities. And we already have the dates for the ones that are upcoming. We have Called, which will be its second time on November 2nd. That happens in, can you remind me?
Granville.
Yep. Yes. And then we also are going to have Turn. It's going to be back, I believe it'll be its fifth year.
Probably.
Wow, yeah. And that will take place on February 28th in Jefferson, Iowa. They're going to move the location.
Oh, nice.
Rotate it around the parishes. So there's just some of those opportunities, as well as, I think all of our parishes have some form of a youth ministry program happening that they can get involved in as well.
And she had no notes for those dates. I was impressed.
Don't worry. I just remembered them.
So that is exciting to think that, especially in middle school and meeting kids from other towns, and if they're like-minded, and then as they grow, maybe they'll go to Steubenville together.
Exactly.
Or just, hey, we'll know somebody at this conference when we go to Granville or Jefferson, because we met them on the Miracle Church bus in the middle of June in the middle of Carroll County.
Well, and this trip is open to everyone, but I can speak on behalf of those who go to public schools growing up, or you might be in the minority as a Catholic young person. And I remember some of my closest friends to this day are people that I met on retreats in high school, and to, lower that age a little bit for the youth of our diocese, to be able to meet people and actually have enough interaction with them throughout their time in middle school and high school to form friendships. So that is our hope for them, for sure.
Yeah.
Danielle, can you remind us again what ages or what grades we're targeting here?
So it is open to middle schoolers in 6th to 8th grade, but it's summertime, so any kid who has left 5th grade or any kid who has left 8th grade, so kind of that 5th to 8th grade range.
Yeah, there won't be a examination or anything. Sign up.
They will be allowed on the bus, I promise.
Well, and then can you share a little bit about, maybe people who listen and their child might want to go, but maybe their parish isn't taking a group? Do you have to be a parish leader, somebody working at the parish, to bring a group and to register a group?
No, any individual can get a group together. Just talk to your pastor or the parish office, and they can help you put something in the bulletin maybe, or you can just contact parents individually. So there is a group registration online, and then it has all of the forms that people can fill out, as well as the different photos for marketing to share that out. And then if you only have like 1 or 2 people, you can still just register that 1 or 2 kids on our online.
We'll put that link in the show notes. I think it's scdiocese.org/MCB. I think.
MCB.
Yep.
But we'll still put it in the show notes. So yeah, I want to register my child. Just hop online and take care of that. What is the cost per student?
It is $20 per student. And if you are attending alongside your child as like a chaperone, we ask for the $20 there as well, just to cover the food, and then you get your pair of sunglasses as well.
There's a deal right there. And can they pay online as well?
They can pay online.
Hey, that is so handy.
It
so
is.
handy. So, anything else about the trip that we forgot to ask that you want people to know?
Oh, I don't know.
Is there a deadline to sign up?
If people can sign up by June 1st, so that way we have the numbers ready and are able to order everything on time.
Okay.
That's very helpful.
When this episode drops, they'll have a few days before they can sign up for that. So we encourage people, talk to your middle schooler, and I assume you need more chaperones possibly if you want to encourage.
If adults want to come and help out, for sure, we'll take their help.
All right, there's your little whisper from God that you might want to help. So it just sounds like a great trip, a very, very fun trip.
I am very excited for it. If I was a middle schooler, I think I would have just hopped on. I would have hopped on board and just loved it. So
another tagline.
I know. I was like, that was not
hop on board.
Hop on board.
Hop on board. Well, thank you, Danielle, for joining us today. You do incredible work in the Faith Formation Office, and we're just so appreciative of all the energy and talents and gifts that you share with your coworkers, as well as the parishes in our diocese. But thank you today for informing us a little bit about those details with the Miracle Church bus. We'd love to have your middle school students hop on board. And thank you all for following Illuminating Catholics. Do us a favor and hit subscribe so you can enjoy every episode and learn more about the faith and events in the Diocese of Sioux City.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Illuminating Catholics, shedding light to understand the modern church. Follow us for more episodes on topics of the Catholic faith. For more diocesan news, visit lumenmedia.org.